All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are going to talk about the updated list now of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. So I want to get into that. So, of course, we talked about Jordan Love and Tua. We're going to talk about them a little bit more now here in this segment because I just wanted to take a look at the updated list now. And so this is the updated list right here. Um, so you got Joe Burrow. His total value is 275 million, but the annual AAV is 55 million. Jordan Love is at 220. He's got 55 million per year, and then Trevor Lawrence is at 55 million also. Tua is a little bit below that. He's getting 53 million a year, a little bit higher than Jared Goff. Um, who's 53 million on the dot. Justin Herbert's at 52.5 million. Lamar Jackson's at 52. Jalen Hurts is at 51. Kyler Murray 46.1. Deshaun Watson 46. Kirk Cousins 45. Patrick Mahomes is 45. Josh Allen 43, and then Matthew Stafford 40. This is what I could fit on the graphic here. But yeah, when you look at this list though, and you see how far down Patrick Mahomes is in terms of the annual salary, and he is the best quarterback in the NFL. It just shows you how, well, I mean, if you look at the total value, I mean, he's making, $4.5 billion overall, but he started taking some, taking the pay cuts to try to, keep some guys like Chris Jones. They weren't able to keep L'Jarius Sneed, but keeping Chris Jones was huge. But it just, in terms of looking at the annual salary per year, the annual AAV, and he's, you know, down on the list there, is interesting. But again, that just shows you how different, the quarterback market is. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is still gonna, it still is the highest contract, but I mean, look how far down he is. Um, in terms of getting, 45 million compared to 55 million. It's just it's interesting because when you look at Jordan Love, I mean, listen, he had a great year, but there are some concerns. There are some concerns. Like I think he's gonna be he's the real deal in my opinion. But he did it. He only did this one year. He only performed like that in one year as a starter. Is he going to repeat that and be even better? Now, I think he will, but I think there are some concerns there. I mean, the Packers are banking on him, being the guy, and like I said, in all likelihood, he is the guy. But there is that other side of it where it's like, you gave him this monster contract. He has the same amount. He's making the same as Joe Burrow in terms of AAV, but can he do it again? That's the question. Trevor Lawrence getting $55 million a year too. Look, I think, he's still good, but, he's coming off of a down year and he hasn't really lived up to the hype just yet. And now we're going into year number 4 with him. Now, it's not like he's been bad. Now, last year he was bad, like especially towards the end of the year. Part of that, I think, again, is due to injury. But, again, $55 million a year is a little too much for me. Tua coming off of the year that he had, I mean, he deserved to get paid. I mean, he's making a little bit more than Jared Goff. But that's what the market is right now. It's going to be different. And it's going to be different when you see some other quarterbacks getting paid. Because the guys that you see lower on the list, like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I mean, you would expect those guys to be at the top. Now, Joe Burrow being at the top, again, that doesn't, I'm fine with that because Joe Burrow has played in a Super Bowl and 2 AFC Championship games. And him and Trevor Lawrence have the same contract. Trevor Lawrence only has one playoff win. But the Jaguars really believe that he's the guy. Um, so, we'll see what happens there. Jalen Hurts, another guy that got paid. Like I said, making $51 million a year. His contract is $255. And in terms of the guaranteed money, Joe Burrow has the most guaranteed money. Or actually, no, Deshaun Watson has the most guaranteed money. He's at $230, and it's full. And it's fully guaranteed. His whole contract is fully guaranteed, and that contract is probably the worst contract on here right now. Because we could talk about Trevor Lawrence making 55 and Tua making 53, but Deshaun Watson, his whole contract is fully guaranteed, and he has not lived up to that. That was a mistake by the Browns. But you know what? They were desperate when they shouldn't have been. Because you know what? You probably could have kept Baker, and you could have tried to work things out. And I get it. They went from making the playoffs in 2020, and then the following year was a down year. But you know what? Baker was hurt. Baker wasn't fully healthy. But they figured, you know what? We have an opportunity to get this guy an upgrade over Baker, despite everything that was going on off the field. Deshaun Watson makes us better. So they did that, but they gave up a lot to get him. And on top of that, they give him this big contract, and he hasn't lived up to it. And he probably won't. I don't think he's going to live up to it. I think he's going to play okay this year, but I don't think you're going to see him playing to an elite level because of the amount of time that he's missed. And even when he was playing, he really wasn't that good. So that contract right now, you're looking at that, comparing it to the other ones. I think it's the worst contract here. And I will say about Burrow, I mean, I am concerned about that wrist. Now, I'm trying to stay on the positive side when it comes to the Bengals, because if Joe Burrow's healthy, the Bengals are going to be a Super Bowl contender. They just are. Like, I know there are individuals that have, some issues with their depth and how their defense is going to be. But if Joe Burrow is healthy, the Bengals are, an 11-win team. I forget what I said for my schedule breakdown, but it's going to be between them and the Ravens for the top of the division. But you got to worry about that too, because, he keeps getting hurt. I mean, that contract's not going to look good. So, fortunately for Kirk Cousins, I went off about Deshaun Watson. Yeah, you give Kirk Cousins a contract that, he's getting $100 million guaranteed, and he's coming off of a major injury. Now, it is not the biggest contract here. Actually, Stafford's contract's a little lower than him. But yeah, he's, everybody else is making over $200 million. Mahomes is almost to $1 billion. So, in terms of looking at all the other quarterbacks that are getting paid, I mean, Kirk is, towards the bottom. At least the quarterbacks that I have here on the screen. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's me talking about this. It's only going to go up. And you also have the salary cap increasing. Like, there's going to be guys making more money than this. When the next cycle of quarterbacks got to get paid. Dak Prescott, what is he going to get? If Dak Prescott is making more money than all the quarterbacks on this screen, that's a problem for me, because I don't think he deserves to be the highest paid quarterback. Now, Patrick Mahomes has, again, $4.5 billion, so he has the biggest contract of everybody. But I'm looking strictly at, what you're making per year. And, if Dak Prescott is at the top of the list, like, I think Dak is a solid quarterback, but I don't think Dak deserves to be the highest paid quarterback. But he's probably going to end up getting that kind of money. Because a team is going to come along, even if it's not the Cowboys, they could be desperate and they say, we want you. And he ends up getting that contract. So, but you hope that some of these guys take the approach like Mahomes is taking, where he'll take a pay cut. So they're able to, keep key guys on their roster, and they're able to go and win. And that's why it worked so well with Tom Brady. Like, Tom Brady was always taking pay cuts so the Patriots could keep their guys. Patrick Mahomes is doing the same thing. So, and I'm not, and it probably, I think some of these guys will do that if they have to. But only time will tell. But it's just interesting looking at, like, again, Mahomes has the biggest contract, but, I mean, look how far down he is on the list here. Him and Josh Allen, who I think are they're the two best quarterbacks on this list here. They're towards the bottom. With the veterans, with Kirk Cousins and Matthew Stafford. I mean, they're veterans too, but, Kirk Cousins and Matthew Stafford have been around longer. But yeah, it's just, it's interesting. It is interesting looking at this list because, I think all the quarterbacks on this list, are solid, other than maybe, Deshaun Watson with how he's played, but, and not basically really not playing these last couple of years. But listen, I mean, Patrick Mahomes should be at the top. I mean, again, in terms of the total value, he is at the top, but annual AAV, he's near the bottom. So, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting to go over it now with Jordan Love and Tua getting paid. Let me know what you guys think though about the contracts here. What really jumps out at you? Again, this is courtesy of overthecap.com. Because again, I just wanted to take a look at the updated list now with those two guys getting paid. And Dak Prescott, he might be at the very top when he gets paid. So before we go to break, I just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate, get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker at the bottom of the show segment down below. So when we come back from our second break of the show, we'll get back into running back rankings. So we'll be doing the NFC South. So that is what we'll do when we come back from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.